So over the past few years, let's say about up to 5 years, I think what most people are feeling about home affordability is that it's taken a nosedive. It's very difficult to afford a home for the average earner out there, the average earning family. Right now we're at the end of 2024, and since March of 2020, home prices have increased on average in the nation 51%. Now, put that into perspective. What if in another 4.75 years or whatever it is, that we go up another 51%? Unbelievably unaffordable, because our wages are not even coming close to increasing at that rate, right? I mean, if you're getting a 3% raise every single year, you're just keeping up with a 3% inflation, and really nothing is changing. But anyway, let's go into an article published by Fast Company. And the headline talks about how home builders are becoming a bit desperate in Florida. So the new construction is becoming desperate. But before they get into that, they're talking about what the three factors that are going to be really heavy in the home affordability problem of Florida. Let's talk about that, and I'll give my 2 cents and all the other data that I know about if in fact this is going to continue to be a problem in 2025 and beyond. And before I get into that, let me just tell you about the 1980s, okay, when I was just a little child. At that point in time, at the very beginning of the 80s, I don't know if you know, but interest rates were in double digits. In fact, they peaked at over 18%. Can you imagine 18% on a home loan that you get? Unbelievable. I can't imagine this. I didn't go through it because I was just a little child. But when they peaked at that percentage, when they compare the earnings, the affordability, and could people have bought homes back then compared to today? Is it less affordable today, or was it less affordable back then? Well, at 18% rates, it was just slightly more unaffordable back then. So things were less affordable, right? So think about it like that historically, in the 80s, it was actually worse than it is right now. And most people, they say it's pretty bad right now. So can it actually get worse? Well, I guess it could, right? But I don't think it's going to. So let's get into this. So we're not going to be discussing the rest of the nation, really. We're going to be talking about Florida because this is Florida Real Estate TV, okay? And this comes from an interview with Nick Gerlich, who is the founder and CEO of Reventure.app, which I am a subscriber to. It's a wonderful tool. I'm going to start using more of it in my videos. It's a really good tool, by the way, so check it out. But anyway, Nick is pretty pessimistic in general, so I don't like his overall view on things, and I definitely don't like his YouTube channel, which is just this, he never talks about anything good. He's just always talking about the bad stuff. I try to balance both. I just try to point out the facts, right? And he's just showing one side of the equation. But anyway, he said that we are heading into 3 major headwinds with the Florida housing market. And the first one is a structural slowdown in inbound migration. Less people come in here. Well, look, if you're going back since 2020, the reason why prices appreciated so much is because people were fleeing their states that had lockdowns, and they were coming to Florida, where we have sunshine. We had barely any lockdown for any point in time. Governor DeSantis ended up basically keeping everything open for almost the entire pandemic. So we had a lot of people, a lot of migration into Florida. And, I agree with Nick, where he's saying that this is one of the headwinds, that we're going to have less people moving here. And I guess proportionately, he's right. We're going to have less people proportionally moving here, but do we have more people coming or going? Do we have more people dying or being born here? And what's the net numbers? Well, the net numbers show that we have a population increase in the state of Florida. So overall, when you zoom out and take a look at the big picture, we're going to have, this isn't going to be a major headwind. I don't agree with him, right? I don't think that we're going to have this big headwind of no one moving to Florida and people leaving or something like that. We're just going to have less people coming here, maybe. And I'll say maybe, because we don't know really what's going to happen. But why would people not come here as much? Well, because it's unaffordable, okay? It is very expensive to live here. Median home price in the United States is a little bit under $400,000. And then in Florida, it's a little bit under $500,000, 20% more expensive to buy a home. And not to mention the condos. Condos are crazy expensive. I mean, there's cheaper ones out there too, but once you add the HOA fees or the COA fees, the Condo Association dues, it's very expensive, okay? Now, the second point that Nick makes is that we're going to have a much larger increase of inventory from the home builders. And you know, I'm going to say, well, it depends. I mean, he's kind of right. We do have a lot of builders building. In fact, in my area, Sarasota, Florida, we have quite a few communities going up. And it's not just Sarasota, but the surrounding area, right? Northport, Venice. Venice has quite a bit, actually. Then we have, well, you know, we have Welland Park over there. And then we have Bradenton and Lakewood Ranch and lots of home building going on. But the thing is, a lot of this home building is happening more inland, where it's like 15, 20 miles inland. And people, when they think of Florida, they're like, hey, let's go to Florida, go to the beach every weekend, you know? You're not going to the beach every weekend when you're living out east of the interstate, in our case, because I'm on the Gulf Coast. And by the way, if you like my videos, or if you have any questions, you want to chat with me over the phone or something, just reach out, okay? I read every comment. I try to reply to every single comment. I'm a real estate agent in Sarasota, Florida. I've been an licensed agent since 2004. I also invest into small multifamily. I own a handful of rentals. I love that business. And I know a lot about the flooded homes and all the opportunities that are out there for you know, getting around the FEMA 50% rule and all this stuff. Anyway, that's a different conversation. Reach out to me if you want to chat, okay? And I think that just going back to the idea of excess inventory hitting the market from the builders, the new construction builders, look, they are hitting the market and they're making their homes more affordable. Do their profit margins stay high? Absolutely. They're still making a crap ton of money, okay? But you know what they're doing that regular home sellers cannot do? They're paying down your interest rates to like 4%. I keep getting these emails, 4%, 4.5, 5.25, crazy low interest rates. But if you buy a resale home and you have a loan, you're gonna have to pay, you know, 7%, right? Maybe a little more. So these home builders are a big competitor to people who own a home. And the only thing that the new construction are not willing to do is they're not willing to lower the prices. And I think the conversation that they had with Nick here, Fast Company had with Nick, is that look, we're gonna have a slowdown in the market and we're gonna have prices go down. Well, not really. Home builders don't just lower their prices so quickly and so voluntarily. You know, it's going to take a long time, and really the regular home sellers have to lower their prices first before the new construction starts lowering their prices, because now their comparables are, you know, a lot lower. So I don't fully agree, although I do agree on part of what he's saying. I do agree that we have a lot more inventory hitting the market, and I don't know if you know, but about 30% or so of all the sales in Florida are currently in the new construction area. So people are obviously going for that, and I think it ties into the third point. The third point that he mentioned was about the insurance and the unaffordability of the condo association dues, the homeowner association dues, and generally speaking, the insurance that people have to pay to live in Florida. And when you go to new construction, just to kind of piggyback point 2 and point 3 together, when you go to new construction, guess what? You get the lowest insurance rates you can possibly get because you have all the latest and greatest building codes. So you have the best wind mitigation credits. And if you don't know what that means that your home is built to last and insurance wants to insure you. But when you buy an older home and you don't have every checked off, you know, or you just have an old building, even though you might have had a full remodel, there's a lot of insurance companies that say, hey, we're not even writing homes from the 80s and 90s. We don't want to put that risk on our portfolio. But the new construction, every insurance company, every carrier is going to write your policy. Anyway, let's get into insurance, because this is the one that I truly agree with Nick that is making Florida extremely unaffordable. So insurance is going through for about 3 or 4 years at this point, maybe 3 years. It's going through a major problem in the state of Florida. And it's because of a lot of reasons. I've made videos on this. You know, the basic point is that insurance left Florida. A lot of companies left Florida. So there's less competition, and with less competition there's higher prices, and with higher prices there's less coverage, and eventually, you know, it kind of got nasty, because then we had hurricanes, and then more hurricanes, and then more hurricanes, and I really didn't like how the government handled it. But it is what it is, and thankfully we have 8 new carriers that just recently entered the market. But I think that's after like 17 or so left the state, you know. I just want to show you real quick where I'm at. I'm at Celery Fields in Sarasota, and just taking a walk here. I really love this area. Nice lake over here. Now the celery fields are back here, and it's just basically like a hill, you know. And across the street there's this big path, on a bike path. I just rode my bike there the other day and kind of went pretty far to explore the whole thing, because I've actually never explored it on foot. So with my bike it was a lot easier. Anyway, let's talk about insurance real quick, and then we'll talk about, you know, what new construction is doing and why you may want to actually consider new construction. So when it comes to the insurance problem of Florida, we are having, you know, you're stuck. Okay, let's talk about this first. First of all, you as a buyer, you are stuck. You have to have insurance if you have a mortgage. Okay, now those are federally regulated mortgages like FHA, like conventional loans, like VA, or if you just have a private mortgage, because no one's going to lend you money to buy a house without you insuring their investment. Okay, and I agree. I mean, I wouldn't either, right? I would lend money to someone for a purchase, but not if they're not insuring, you know, in case of a catastrophe. Anyway, you have to have insurance. So the demand for insurance is artificially kept high by the rules of borrowing. And I do think that there's going to be more and more people opening up their eyes and saying, screw this to the entire insurance company, and they're going to self-insure. And all that means is that you don't carry an insurance policy. That quote that you got for $6,500, you just put that money away into a separate bank account. And then if something happens, you have money saved in a separate bank account. Is it risky? Yes. But is having insurance risky as well? Yes. Why is it risky? Because just because you have insurance doesn't mean they're going to pay you out. The insurance industry is a freaking scam. Ask anyone who's gone through claims. Ask anyone who got really affected by hurricanes or anything else, any other natural disaster anywhere in the state or anywhere in the nation. And no one's going to be saying that insurance is so wonderful. They charge a lot, and then even after they pay you out, it's never enough to get everything repaired. And then, you know, you have some things that you have to pay for out of pocket, and then your premium goes up through the roof after you've paid your deductible. I mean, I hate insurance. I hate insurance, and if I could, I would pay off every mortgage I have of every rental, and I would self-insure or just get some big umbrella policy just to have something covered, and then I would put away all this money into a separate account. And I think a lot of people are going to be going into that, down that path. You just have to pay off your house first. And so that's why I always recommend, if you're going to buy a house, like I know this newly married couple. They're young. They're in their early 20s. So I'm going to be meeting with them at some point in time, and here's what I'm going to tell them. I'm going to tell them, buy the crappiest house you can get. And I recommend this to you too. Don't buy the nice home that you want. Buy the crappiest house you can get that you are willing to live in. That is, and I don't mean crappy. I mean lowest price. I don't mean like you have to live in a dump, okay? In a pigsty. No, you can take a junky 800 square foot house, a small little house, and make it cute, right? But that 800 square foot house, if it's in like Northport or Port Charlotte, it's going to be like, what, $150,000? You can pay off $150,000. Like you can have that dual income, paying that principal and interest payment, and just get it paid off ASAP. I highly recommend that. This is the path to getting rich. I read a lot of books, and I've talked to a lot of old-timer investors. I mean, I'm only 46. I'm talking about people in their 70s and 80s who have been in real estate investors, and you know what they all say? They all say the same thing. They'll say, just pay off your mortgages. Don't keep your mortgages. And then you're going to have bucket loads of cash. That's ridiculous to think about. But do you agree with that? Comment below if you agree. Or if you think that you should leverage yourself, get a 5% down payment loan and have 95% loan amount, and continue doing that, acquiring property. That is a different strategy. I'm not saying it's a horrible strategy, but do you want to get the, get rich slow game? Or do you want to roll the dice and maybe fail completely? I don't know. At my age, I want to do the get rich slow game, which just means paying things off one property at a time, and then eventually maybe even self-insuring, right? And let's get back to new construction and how does that play into it. New construction is never going to be really low priced. That's the problem with new construction, but it's beautiful and people love it, and the community is super nice. There's always something really nice about new construction, and insurance rates are low. That's super cool. But if you get a new construction home, you're probably going to have like a higher price point. Like you probably could have bought a home for 25 to 30% less from the resale market instead of new construction directly from the builder. And guess what? That builder is probably profiting about 20% of that money right into the shareholders' pockets. So I'm not saying that new construction is a bad idea. It's a different strategy, because with new construction, what you can do is that you can get a really low interest rate, 30-year fixed. Okay, and if rates stay high for a while, that's a huge benefit, because every month your payment is going to be a little bit lower. But what's more important than the payment being lower is that the ratio of principal to interest of your payment is going to be much more favorable to you. You're going to be paying down a lot more principal, so that if one day, let's just say 7 years later, interest rates go down, you now have a much lower principal amount that you are financing. But that's really nice, because once again, it'll bring your payment lower when you do refinance in 7 years. And when the rates are lower than they were whatever you got, you're going to have a better ratio again of principal to interest. So I'm telling you, new construction is good because you're going to be able to get a low interest rate in this high interest rate environment right now, which is about 7%. The other thing is, there's no deferred maintenance in new construction. Like, you buy a new house, you don't have anything to do. Nothing needs to be done. You might want to do some things, but nothing needs to be done. So you basically like got a beautiful home that's all modern and brand new appliances and brand new kitchen, brand new countertops, everything's brand new roof. You don't have to replace your roof in a couple of years because insurance is going to want to drop you. No, you got insurance for a good 15 years with no problems, and it's going to be the lowest rate of insurance that you can possibly get. I like that. Like I said, there's a lot of benefits to getting new construction, but it all depends on your strategy. You want to talk about it, reach out, drop me a comment with your email address or something, then we can get in touch with each other. Thanks for watching.